Just like the mythical city of Atlantis, this semi-nomadic tribe spends most of their lives at sea. They live on boats or in stilt shanty houses that they can build right in the middle of the ocean. With a population of over 1.5 million, these people have mastered the tides and flow of the sea, making them very different from regular land dwellers, both physically and genetically. Where can this tribe be found? What is their story? Join us on this thrilling adventure as we explore the tribe that lives in the sea. The Sea Gypsies. The Sama Bajau are a fascinating group of Austronesian people from Maritime Southeast Asia, known for their deep and strong connection to the sea. They often refer to themselves as the Sama or Sama, but they are widely recognized by the name Bajau. As the main ethnic group in the beautiful Tawi-Tawi Islands, the Sama Bajau are also found in other parts of the Sulu archipelago, along the coastlines of Mindanao and across the northern islands of the Philippines. Their presence extends to northern and eastern Borneo, Sulawesi, and various eastern Indonesian islands. Often called sea gypsies or sea nomads, the Sama Bajau share a unique and traditional seafaring lifestyle with other groups like the Moken of the Burmese Thai Mergui archipelago and the Orang Laut of Indonesia's Riau Islands. Their spread across these regions is closely tied to their historic involvement in the sea cucumber trade, a vital part of their culture and history. The Bajau people have been journeying across the vast waters of the Sulu Sea for centuries. They are the world's only community of self-sufficient sea nomads. For the Bajau, a border is nothing more than the farthest distance they can reach by boat. They are renowned for their incredible freediving skills. They spend long hours underwater, with some reports showing they can hold their breath for more than 5 hours each day. To improve their diving and hunting abilities, some Bajau people deliberately rupture their eardrums at a young age. As a result, many older Sama Bajau have reduced hearing. Over the centuries, their deep-sea lifestyle has led to remarkable genetic adaptations. A 2018 study revealed that Bajau spleens are about 50% larger than those of their land-dwelling neighbors, the Saluan. This larger spleen helps them store more oxygen-rich blood, which gets released into their bloodstream during dives, allowing them to hold their breath longer. This adaptation is linked to a specific gene variant, PDE10A. Other important genes in the Bajau include those involved in managing blood flow, balancing blood pH, and responding to low oxygen levels. These genetic traits are believed to have developed through natural selection, making the Bajau uniquely suited for their underwater lifestyle. Interestingly, another group, the Moken, is known for having better underwater vision than Europeans, although it is unclear if this trait is also genetic. The Bajau's intimate relationship with the sea is mirrored in every aspect of their culture. Their knowledge of navigation, passed down through stories and practice, is not learned but lived. Using their self-taught carpentry skills, a Bajau can build a fishing boat in about a week without any drawings. According to them, these methods have been passed down from generation to generation. It's in their genes. The ocean dictates their diet, their daily routines, and even their spiritual beliefs. They revere the sea as a giver of life and a keeper of souls, performing rituals and ceremonies that reflect their deep spiritual connection with the marine world. In the vast Sulu Sea, the Bajau are symbols of self-reliance, but once they set foot on land, they become part of the lowest social class. Their stateless status means they are denied government benefits. Their children cannot attend public schools, and adults are not allowed to find formal jobs. With a different sense of time from many mainlanders and little formal education, the Bajau remain separate, forced to blend in but kept at a distance, while continuing to preserve their unique way of life, as they have for centuries. Even with all the benefits on land, why have the Sea Gypsies remained to stay on land? How did they get to the waters in the first place? Journeying to the sea. The Sea Gypsies have a history as rich and fascinating as their unique way of life. To understand their story, we must journey back in time, exploring the migration patterns that have shaped their vibrant culture and existence. The Bajau are believed to have come from the southern Philippines. As early as the 15th century, different Bajau groups began traveling between the Philippines and Malaysia's Sabah region, sharing traditions and creating settlements along the way. According to the Bajau's oral traditions and royal genealogies, they were once land dwellers ruled by a king with a beloved daughter. When she was lost, either swept away by a storm or taken by another kingdom, the king ordered his people to find her. Unable to bring her back, the Bajau decided to remain on the move, becoming the sea nomads we know today, avoiding the king's wrath by never returning home. One popular tale among the Bajau of Borneo tells of their ancestors as royal guards from Johor, escorting a beautiful princess named Dayang Ayesha to marry a ruler in Sulu. However, the Sultan of Brunei fell in love with her and launched a daring attack on the convoy at sea, taking the princess for himself. Rather than return to Johor without her, the loyal guards chose to settle in Borneo and Sulu, starting a new life. This legend not only strengthens their ties to Islam, but also solidifies their identity as Malays, granting them a special status under Malaysia's Bumiputera laws. In contrast, the Indonesian Bajau have their own story about their connection to the Sultanate of Goa. Their tales speak of a royal princess who was swept away by a mighty flood, only to be found and married by a king or prince of Goa. According to legend, their children became the ancestors of the Indonesian Bajau. Other myths, however, are more mystical and don't mention a princess. For example, the Philippine Samabajau tell a tale of how their ancestors were accidentally towed into what is now Zamboanga by a giant stingray. Interestingly, the old pre-Hispanic name of Zamboanga City, Samboangan, means mooring place, which comes from the cinema word sambuang, or samboang, referring to a mooring pole. Modern scholars largely reject the origin myths claiming descent from Johor or Goa, as these kingdoms were established too recently to explain the Bajau's ethnic differences. Whether the Sama Bajau are native to their current territories or migrated from elsewhere is still debated. Linguistically, they are distinct from their neighbors, especially from the Tausug, who are more closely related to northern Philippine ethnic groups like the Visayans. In 1965, anthropologist David Sofer proposed that the Sama Bajau, along with the Orang Laut, descended from ancient hunter-gatherers from the Riau archipelago, who intermarried with Austronesians. They kept their hunter-gatherer lifestyle but became more focused on the sea as Southeast Asia became more populated by Austronesian settlers. However, in 1968, another anthropologist, Harry Arlo Nimmo, suggested that the Sama Bajau are native to the Sulu archipelago, Sulawesi, and Borneo, with no shared origin with the Orang Laut. Nimmo believed that the boat-dwelling lifestyle developed independently among the Sama Bajau's ancestors. A more recent study in 1985 by anthropologist Alfred Kemp Pallison compared oral traditions with historical facts and linguistic evidence. He placed the ethnogenesis of the Sama Bajau around 800 AD and rejected any historical connection with the Orang Laut. Pallison hypothesized that the Sama Bajau originated from a proto-Sama Bajau people living in the Zamboanga Peninsula who practiced both fishing and slash-and-burn agriculture. These early inhabitants were well established in the region long before the Tausug people arrived around the 13th century. Influenced by the Malay kingdoms, they became culturally and linguistically Indianized by the 15th century and converted to Islam by the 16th century. They also engaged in extensive trade with China for luxury sea products like trepang, pearls, and shark fins. From Zamboanga, some of these people adopted a seaborne culture and spread out in the 10th century towards Basilan, Sulu, Borneo, and Sulawesi. They arrived in Borneo by the 11th century. This theory is currently the most widely accepted among experts studying the Austronesian peoples explaining why even boat-dwelling Sama Bajau still practice agricultural rituals, despite being primarily fishermen. Linguistic evidence further points to Borneo as the ultimate origin of the Proto-Sama Bajau people. A genetic study of three groups, the Derawan of northeast Borneo, the Kotabaru of southeast Borneo, and the Kendari of southeast Sulawesi, suggested that their origin was in southern Sulawesi. Their ethnogenesis is estimated to date back to around the 4th century AD, resulting from an admixture between the Bugis people and a Papuan group. The study authors suggest that the Sama moved to eastern Borneo around the 11th century AD, then toward northern Borneo and the southern Philippines, around the 13th to 14th centuries AD, likely driven by the rising influence and trading activities of the Srivijaya Empire. The Sama Bajau are genetically diverse, indicating significant intermixing with local populations or even cultural adoption by coastal groups in the areas they settled. However, this study focused on the Indonesian Bajo subgroup, and the authors recommend additional research on Sama Bajau groups in neighboring regions. In 2021, a genetic study revealed a unique genetic signal among the Sama Bajau of the Philippines and Indonesia. This genetic marker, called Sama ancestry, identifies them as descendants of an ancient migration of Austroasiatic-affiliated hunter-gatherer groups from mainland Southeast Asia, migrating via the now sunken land bridges of Sundaland around 15,000 to 12,000 years ago. These populations mixed with pre-existing Negrito groups, and later with incoming Austronesian migrants, adopting the Austronesian language. They are genetically clustered with the Lua and Malabari peoples of mainland Southeast Asia, as well as the Manobo people of mainland Mindanao. The study also found minimal South Asian gene flow among Sama populations starting around 1,000 years ago. The Sama ancestry was strongest among the Sama de Laut, followed by more land-based Sama groups. It was also detected among other ethnic groups that do not self-identify as Sama in Palawan, Zamboanga, Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. With no clear genealogical records, different origin stories, and various research findings, pinpointing the true origin of this unique tribe becomes quite challenging. What is it like being a Bajau? Being a sea gypsy? Life became more complicated for the Bajau during the colonial era when Malaysia, the Philippines, and Indonesia created maritime borders in the Sulu zone. These borders were established in the Madrid Protocol of 1885 without considering the ethnic groups living there. The Dutch, British, and Spanish influences in the region disrupted traditional trade routes and imposed new political boundaries. These changes often forced the Bajau to adapt their migratory routes and settlement patterns. Today, modern Sama Bajau are known for their friendly, welcoming, and happy nature, despite living in simple conditions. Sadly, many are also illiterate, uneducated, and struggling financially due to their nomadic way of life. The number of Sama Bajau who are born and live mostly at sea is decreasing. This change is mainly due to cultural shifts and modernization. The end of the Sultanate of Sulu, which once helped the Sama Bajau trade fish for farming goods, has also played a role. Nowadays, money-based fish markets mean that living on land has become necessary for better market access. In Malaysia, some controversial government programs have moved the Bajau to the mainland. Historically, the Sama Bajau in the Sulu archipelago faced discrimination from the Tausug people, who saw them as inferior and outsiders. The Tausug referred to them with the offensive term Luwan, meaning outcast, based on a legend that portrayed them as ungrateful. The Sama Bajau also faced marginalization from other Moro groups because they practiced animist religions, which were viewed as uncivilized compared to Islam. This low status continued into modern times, with the Sama Bajau still facing prejudice from the Tausug. They have been frequent victims of theft, extortion, kidnapping, and violence from both Tausug insurgents and pirates. Due to discrimination and ongoing violence in Muslim Mindanao, Many Sama-Bajau have moved to Malaysia and Indonesia for better job opportunities. However, their presence is often controversial in Malaysia, where many are considered illegal immigrants. They usually enter Malaysia through offshore islands and work as laborers. Some also migrate to the northern Philippines, such as the Visayas, Palawan, and Mindanao, though these areas are also economically disadvantaged and socially exclusionary. This has led to some Filipinos stereotyping the boat-dwelling Sama-Bajau as beggars and squatters. Traditionally, the Sama-Bajau roamed across the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and even ventured into the Timor and Arafura seas. Today, they have lost access to many of these areas. Efforts have been made to grant them fishing rights in traditional zones, but legal issues still persist. For example, the Malaysian Immigration Act of 1959 and 1963 had the most significant impact on Bajau. This law did not distinguish between asylum seekers, refugees, irregular migrants, and undocumented or stateless people. Suddenly, the Bajau found themselves in a difficult legal situation, which worsened during the Civil War in the Mindanao region in 1970. Many Bajau families sailed to the east coast of Borneo, where they have struggled with Malaysia's bureaucracy ever since, remaining neither stateless nor citizens. Under a 1974 agreement, Indonesian traditional fishermen can fish in Australia's exclusive economic zone, which includes Sama-Bajau waters. However, illegal fishing by large trawlers has led to concerns about overfishing and damage to Sama-Bajau boats. In 2014, Indonesian authorities destroyed 6 Filipino Sama-Bajau boats caught fishing in Indonesian waters. This is a serious issue since their boats often serve as their homes. Some Sama-Bajau are associated with illegal and harmful fishing practices like blast fishing, cyanide fishing, and coral mining. They often resort to these methods because modern restrictions have limited their traditional fishing grounds. Facing fewer opportunities, they struggle to compete with better-equipped land-based fishermen. The Indonesian government and NGOs have launched programs to offer alternative livelihoods, such as using fish aggregating devices instead of explosives. Health centers and schools have also been built for Sama-Bajau communities. In the Philippines, some Sama-Bajau refugees have turned to begging, such as diving for coins from ferry passengers or selling grated cassava, handmade mats, and jewelry. Recently, there have been efforts by local governments to help these refugees by providing fishing boats, gear, and other resources. The push for support gained momentum after a photo of a Sama-Bajau beggar, Rita Gaviola, went viral in the Philippines. Sadly, prejudice against the Sama-Bajau continues. Some Tausug Muslims have insulted them, despite both groups sharing the same religion. In Indonesia, the Sama-Bajau face discrimination based on false stereotypes, with accusations of using love potions and being untrustworthy. As of 2023, only about 100 to 200 Bajau still live in traditional Lansa houseboats near the eastern Malaysian city of Semporna. Without citizenship or formal rights to settle on the Borneo mainland, the Bajau of Philippine origin continue to practice maritime hunting techniques passed down through generations. They rely on these skills for survival and trade extra fish, lobsters, and sea cucumbers with islanders in exchange for essential items. However, a lack of funds for repairs and restrictions on cutting trees in the local national park are increasingly pushing the remaining few to consider moving to the mainland, where they continue to face a life as displaced outcasts in the Bangau settlement. A few Sama-Bajau families still follow their traditional way of life. Their houseboats travel together in groups called flotillas, made up of boats from close relatives. They work together when fishing and during special ceremonies. A married couple might choose to sail with the family of either the husband or the wife. At certain times of the year, they anchor at common mooring points called sambuangan, where they meet other flotillas, often from extended family. These mooring points are usually managed by an elder or leader and are close to important places like fresh water sources or island cemeteries. The Sama Bajau gather for ceremonies like weddings and festivals. They typically stay within 40 kilometers of their main mooring spot. Sama Bajau women are well known for using a traditional sun-protecting powder called burak or borak. This powder, made from water plants, rice, and spices, helps shield them from the sun. Despite sharing a common traditions, the Sama Bajau often face challenges because they lack collective unity. This disunity has made them vulnerable to policies that negatively impact their way of life. Rift among the tribe. The Sama Bajau people are like a vibrant patchwork with various groups scattered across the seas. They have never been politically united and are often influenced by local rulers from places like the Sultanate of Brunei or the old Sultanate of Sulu. Most Sama Bajau groups are named after their home islands and speak their unique languages or dialects, though they can usually understand one another because their languages are related. The groups are mainly divided into three types. The shoreline Sama, also known as Sama Bihing or Sama Lipid, live in stilt houses over the water in coastal areas. For example, the Sama Simunul come from the large islands of Tawi-Tawi. They are adaptable, farming when land is available and often helping with trade between different groups. The land Sama, including Sama Daya, or Sama Darat, reside on the island's interiors. Groups like the Sama Sibatu and Sama Sanga are skilled farmers who grow rice, sweet potatoes, and coconuts using traditional methods. They are from the larger islands of Tawi-Tawi and Pangutaran and often see themselves as quite different from the sea-dwelling Sama Bajau. Finally, the sea Sama, known as Sama de Laut, Sama Mandilaut, Sama Palau, or Bajau Laut, were once famous for living on beautifully crafted houseboats called lepa. Now, most of them live on land, especially in the Philippines, on islands like Sitangkai and Bongao. They are often called Bajau, though some find this name offensive. They proudly call themselves Sama Toongan, meaning true Sama, to set themselves apart from the land-based Sama Bajau. There are many smaller Sama Bajau groups named after their home islands, such as the Sama Banaran, Sama Davao, Sama Zamboanga Sikubung, Sama Tuaran, Sama Semporna, Sama Sulawesi, Sama Simunul, Sama Tabawan, Sama Tandubas, or Sama Tandobas, and Sama Ungus, Matata. In Malaysia, mixed heritage Sama Bajau and Tausug communities are sometimes called Bajau Suluk. People with different ethnic backgrounds might also use a three-part name like Bajau Suluk Dusun to describe themselves. Some subgroups related to the Sama people don't call themselves Sama, though they share cultural ties and speak Sama Bajau languages. The Abaknon, from Kapul in northern Samar, Philippines, speak their own Abaknon language. They were among the first to be converted to Christianity by the Spanish and now blend with Visayan culture. According to their folk history, their ancestors came from the southern Philippines, possibly from Balabac Island. In the 1300s, they refused to convert to Islam or submit to Moro rulers, so they left their homes and settled on what is now Kapul Island. The Jama Mapun, also known as Sama Mapun or Bajau Cagayan, is from the island of Mapun in Tawi-Tawi, formerly Cagayan de Sulu. Their culture has been shaped by the Sulu Sultanate, but they often don't see themselves as Sama and live in relative isolation. The Yakan, from the mountainous regions of Basilan in the Philippines, are thought to be related to the Sama Bajau, but have developed their own unique identity. They are primarily farmers and also skilled horse riders, similar to the West Coast Bajau. Known for their weaving traditions, the Yakan resisted Tausug's rule when the Sulu Sultanate was forming, establishing themselves as a distinct group. They practice a mix of Islam and indigenous beliefs. The Sama Bajau languages are part of the Western Malayo-Polynesian language family and are often called Sinama or Bajau, especially in Malaysia. These languages were once considered part of the Central Philippine languages, but were later placed in a separate branch due to their differences. Sinama, for instance, stresses the second-to-last syllable of words, unlike nearby languages like Tausug and Tagalog. Linguist Robert Blust suggested that these languages are related to the Barito lexical region, making them a sister group to languages like Dayak and Malagasy. Just like ideologies, the beliefs among tribal members also vary. The Bajau concept of faith. Religion among the Sama Bajau people is as varied as their cultures. Some practice strict Sunni Islam, while others follow folk Islam, which blends Sufi traditions from early Muslim missionaries with local beliefs. A few still hold on to animistic practices, worshipping spirits and honoring ancestors. There are also small groups of Catholics and Protestants, especially from Davao del Sur in the Philippines. For the coastal Sama Bajau of Malaysia, showing religious devotion can boost personal prestige. Many of them live in areas without mosques and rely on nearby Muslim or Malay communities for religious practices. Some of the more nomadic Sama Bajau, like the Ubian Bajau, follow a mix of folk Islam, honoring local sea spirits known as jinn. Historically, the Sama Bajau practiced animism, and some groups still do. They believe in supreme deities like Umbo Tuhan, the Lord of the Sea, and his partner, Dayang Dayang Mangilay, the Lady of the Forest. Umbo Tuhan is seen as the creator who made all beings equal. Their belief system divides the world into physical and spiritual realms, with the spirits playing a big role in daily life. For modern Muslim Sama Bajau, Umbo Tuhan is often identified with Allah. Traditional Sama Bajau graves, known as sunduk, used to feature carvings of humans and animals, but now mostly focus on simpler designs due to Islamic influence. The spirits they revere include ancestors like Umbo, nature spirits, and totemic figures like the spirits of ants and mantis shrimp. These spirits are thought to influence fishing and other activities, either bringing good luck or causing trouble. Building and launching boats are special rituals, with the boats believed to have their guardian spirit called Sumanga. Traditional Sama Bajau shamans, or Kalamat, help oversee community events and rituals. They are known as Wali Jinn and are believed to have a close relationship with the spirits they serve. The Kalamat and other mediums called Igal Jinn are believed to host spirits, though they remain in control of their bodies. One major religious event is the Pag Umbo, or Magpaay Bahaw, a ceremony to thank Umbo Tuhan. This involves preparing newly harvested rice while reciting prayers. The rice is arranged in small piles to represent mountains, and after a few nights, it's used to make sweet dishes. More prayers are said to honor the spirits. Another key celebration is the Pagkanduli, or festive gathering, particularly among the boat-dwelling Sama de Laut. It includes ritual dances and ceremonies honoring Umbo Tuhan, Dayang Dayang Mangilay, and ancestral spirits called Bansa. The event starts under a sacred dangkan tree and moves to a grove of kamatulang trees. It's a joyful time with lots of music, dancing, and festivities. Unlike Pag-umbo, which is formal, Pagkanduli is a lively and festive occasion. Besides these major events, the Sama Bajau also have public dances called Magigal Jin, where the spirits are consulted during a public seance and trance dancing. In times of illness, the Igal Jin might perform rituals to drive away harmful spirits, often using a spirit boat set adrift at sea. The Bajau way of life and belief is truly fascinating and stands out as uniquely different from that of other tribes. While the Sea Gypsies are widely known as one of the last sea-dwelling tribes, they are not the only community that lives on the water. Unlike the Sea Gypsies, who often face stigma from land dwellers, the people of this African community are integrated more harmoniously with those who live on land. Makoko. Makoko, often called the Venice of Africa, is a special community which stands out sharply from the sprawling city of Lagos which is a huge Nigerian city with about 21 million people. Makoko's history dates back to the late 19th century, when it was founded as a fishing village by the Igun people from nearby West African countries. At that time, Lagos had fewer than 1 million residents. The fast-paced development of Lagos has caused a severe housing shortage, making many low-income families struggle to find affordable places to live. Makoko offers a more affordable option for those who can't keep up with the high cost of living in other parts of Lagos. While some residents of Lagos have become very wealthy from the booming oil and finance industries, about 1/5 of the city's population is either living in poverty or at risk of it. This unique location offers its residents direct access to vital water resources, perfect for their fishing-based way of life. However, living so close to the water also brings its own set of problems. The area faces frequent flooding and pollution, worsened by the growing industrial presence in Lagos. The homes in Makoko are built on stilts, rising above the waterlogged ground. These stilt houses are crafted from scavenged and repurposed materials, showcasing the residents' creativity and resilience. Despite the tough living conditions, the people of Makoko have managed to adapt remarkably well. The population of Makoko is hard to pin down, with estimates ranging from tens of thousands to about 100,000. The community is a mix of ethnic groups, primarily the Igun people from Benin, along with many Yoruba and migrants from across Nigeria and West Africa. However, its lack of official recognition makes it difficult for the government to provide services or manage infrastructure. Overcrowded living conditions, inadequate sanitation, and pollution from both waste and industrial runoff are major concerns. In 2012, a major confrontation occurred when authorities tried to clear Makoko for development, leading to violence and a significant outcry. This event left many homeless and fueled fears that their homes might be destroyed at any time. Despite these hardships, the people of Makoko have shown incredible resourcefulness. Their homes, built on stilts using mangrove wood, are designed to withstand flooding and make the most of the limited space. This wooden construction, deeply anchored into the lagoon's muddy floor, is well suited to the area's shifting tides and turbulent waters. The building materials are chosen for their strength and low cost, which is perfect for the tight budget and tricky conditions of living on the water. The houses are small, but cleverly designed to fit large families. Each home serves many purposes. It's where people cook, sleep, and spend time together. Wooden bridges and walkways connect the homes, creating a network of pathways above the water. But not all of Makoko is floating. Some parts are on land, where narrow streets wind between buildings made of wood, metal sheets, and concrete blocks. Over time, the building methods here have changed, mixing old and new techniques. Some newer homes now have sturdy concrete foundations and use recycled materials like plastic bottles for extra strength and eco-friendliness. Early each morning, people from Makoko head out in their canoes, casting nets into the murky lagoon waters. The fish they catch provide food and money for many families. Women play a key role in these markets, managing stalls and processing fish by smoking or drying it. This helps preserve the catch for days when fishing is less fruitful. Boat-building workshops along the water's edge are busy making and fixing canoes. These workshops not only help locals but also supply canoes to other parts of Lagos. These canoes are also used to deliver essentials like firewood and water, as fresh water in Makoko comes from boreholes or taps on the mainland. Knowing that the government would not provide necessary services, the people of Makoko took matters into their own hands, and in 2009, they set up their schools, electricity, drinking water points, and a small clinic. Foreign development agencies have played a role in making Makoko a better place. One standout project was the Makoko Floating School. This floating school wasn't just a building, it was a beacon of hope and innovation. Designed by the talented architect Kunle Adeyemi and his team at NLA Works, the school was created in close collaboration with the local community. Built mainly from local materials like bamboo and timber, and supported by recycled plastic barrels, the school floated on the Lagos Lagoon, adjusting to the changing tides. Its triangular A-frame structure made it stable and resistant to flooding, while the open design allowed for fresh air and natural light, creating a perfect environment for learning. The school could hold up to 100 students, giving many Makoko children a chance at education they wouldn't have otherwise had. Sadly, in 2016, the school collapsed due to structural issues, raising questions about the sustainability of such innovative designs. Despite this setback, the spirit of the floating school lives on, and several other schools now provide basic education to Makoko's children. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.